Again, let's look at another type of fraud. In this perspective, we are trying to categorize fraud on the basis of the person committing it. Now, the first of such is corporate fraud. These are fraud committed by the management of the organization and on behalf of the organization. We mentioned something like under the last class, something like financial statement fraud. Financial statement fraud, when it's committed, is not committed by employees of the organization to steal money. In the case, just like in the case of asset misappropriation. But when something like financial statement fraud is committed, they want the company or the organization as a whole to look better than it is, maybe for the sake of public offer of their shares, or they want investors, or they want the company just to look good than it is. So it's being committed by top management and professionals on behalf of the company, by the board, by the management executives, on behalf of the company. It's still fraud. Whichever way you want to look at it, it's still fraud. Fraud is fraud, because if they keep cooking books, just like we see in the cases like Enron and other widely celebrated cases and widely messy cases world over, you say that if they keep cooking books and it goes on, the bubble will still burst and the company will go bankrupt and people will lose their money and all that. So it's still fraud. And even them, as the executives, at the end of the day, they gain massively from this fraud because they are just cooking books. Stock keep rising. Sometimes they know when to dump the stocks because they know these companies don't have the fundamental strength that they are claiming on the stock market. The second is employee or white-collar fraud. On the basis of this course, we've categorized fraud into these two areas for the basis of this course, so that we know that corporate fraud is those fraud perpetrated by management on behalf of the company, and employees fraud are those frauds perpetrated by the employee of the company for the sake of themselves. These are when employees want to loot. We also call it white-collar fraud. When employees want to loot money for themselves. It might not be just a single employee. It might be collusion of employee. Maybe one from this department, one from the other department, one from another department. And together they come together and form a syndicate against the company. And they were able to beat the internal control and wall of mechanisms that are set in place. So in this case, these are fraud committed against the company. So you can see the difference now. Corporate fraud are frauds committed for and on behalf of the company by the management, while employee or white-collar fraud are fraud committed by the employees against the company. Whichever way is still going to have the same result. If employees are allowed, due to weak internal control system, to have their way and keep having their way, you'll be surprised that over years or even less than a year, they can eat down even the biggest corporation in the whole world.